Super appreciate it. Also, there were new emotes slots given to affiliates, and I qualified for all the new emote slots, including the animated ones. So, all subscribers get access to Lord Flatu Eyes as well as Lord Flatu Pet, and hopefully I can get some more going forward. All right. In the meantime, though, as usual, timing starts when the gate of the first dungeon finishes. And for this dungeon, we're actually going to do something we wouldn't normally do in other dungeons. We're actually going to pre-pull sprint. And we're going to pre-pull dance. So the reason we pre-pull sprint is because sprint will be back by the time we're done with these first little bit of enemies. We also want to try and hit as many of them as possible, obviously, but yeah. Gonna abuse this one. I'm glad to hear. You'll also see me use Flourish way more liberally as well in all Dungeon Stormblood until I swap over to Red Mage. I need to get all of them over here so I can maximize my damage real quick. Siren Song C is probably like a great example of what makes Dancer good, but also at the same time where Dancer's limitations come into play. Because while Dancer deals really high burst damage with single abilities, after a certain point they simply are just worse overall than... there's just simply worse overall than the other counterparts in DPS. The main goal here, we want to get as far as we can while building up as much damage on single target. And then when we get here, we unleash our damage. Alright, cool. And we still have the ability to use that. But now we can do the normal strat, which is to pop Devilment before we hit triple technical finish. Pop Flourish. I missed the technical finish. That's my bad. That's a really bad one to miss, for the record. Like, really bad one to miss. Like, technical step is 1,500 potency. I'm pretty sure it's the single highest damaging attack in the game. So, for me to miss that one is a lot of lost DPS. Later on, these stack markers are going to start actually becoming a threat to me. I'm going to need to make sure my health is above a certain level. But currently, at level 61, which is this dungeon, it currently does not deal enough damage for it to be a super big threat to me. It's only if the fight goes, like, super extended, more or less. Time save for next run. It's going to be time save for next run. The next time I do this will 100% be an Endwalker. Like, I do not have plans to do Stormblood again in terms of a speed run until Endwalker is fully dropped and I've had a good large fill of it, more or less. Yeah, big thing you want to be doing with Dancer is continuing to damage things while you move. The reason why you want to keep damaging things for is you want to get as far as possible, killing as much as you can before you unload on them, and hopefully kill them all with AoEs quicker. But the big thing is, the less things you have to kill, the less chance that they'll force you to go through one more GCD to kill them, just because they lived with like 2 HP or something. Okay, so everything here should die fairly quickly with the fan dances I stored up. So we're actually going to go ahead and hold on to... see, that's what I'm talking about, though. Like, in a different situation, that guy would not have lived at 1%. Yeah, 1,800 damage in a single attack. Took out 25% of his HP. That is a super powerful thing to have. It's going to be interesting to play around with, like, the changes to Flourish and the new stuff that Dancer gets come Endwalker anyway. Hello, Governor. I just keep forgetting that this guy's named Governor, so I can make that joke. Really good. Alright, right here, normally the smart thing to do would be to use, you know, standard step, but I actually want to wait until I get over here and aggro all of these guys, because I can get the maximum effectiveness by using it late rather than waiting for a long pull that gets me all the way there. Hype for all dungeons Shadowbringers, but I guess that won't happen until we get to eye level 660. Who knows? It really depends on how strong the Enhanced Echo is. The Enhanced Echo could literally be, like, super fucking weak, right? But it could also be ridiculously powerful. Like, we have no real way to know. Sure to actually have head graze there, because like if that channel goes off, you just get charmed. End of story. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You just get charmed. So that's like one of the few times where you need to actually use like your interrupt, stun, or root ability on an enemy. The main reason I pop Flourish there is killing that guy quicker is better and killing this boss quicker, just because it is possible for him to get two of those seductive screens out, and if you aren't quick enough, you won't have head graze up for it. So it's better to kill that guy fast than use Flourish for Lorelei here. Getting a lot of good damage numbers, though. We should probably take her out before the third Morbid Advance. Oh yeah, we'll definitely take her out before the third Morbid Advance. This is the second one. The Ice Gym E4 member. True. Nice. Okay, 707 is a little bit slower. I did get a 6-minute time in one of my practice runs, but it was like a 6:59. So it's only like 8 seconds slower than what I recorded in practice. Plus it was 7:04 in the in-game time. Which, for the record, just to show this off here, the in-game time does show underneath in my chat, but I have it blocked since the leaderboard doesn't use it. Unacceptable, retracting sub immediately. Unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear. It is sad to see you go, Kiros. But I still got your money for this one, scrub. Just as a gentle reminder, one of the mechanics about Dancer, which is super good, is on Avant. Getting 3 charges of it means it can be 3 quick dashes to get you through levels quicker. And one factor about on Avant is that it's really good when you do not have any movement speed off at all, because you still get the same distance regardless of what your current movement speed is. So using on Avant in a situation, for example, where you are... Using on Avant in a situation where you are, you know, dragging enemies from one location to another without sprint is very strong. Now, this boss is going to be a wee bit of an asshole, just because he can just, like, lock me in place and be really annoying, but I can still survive his attack at the very least. And as long as I'm facing him, I can attack his legs, which is the reason, you know... Which is the reason that, like, the boss can be annoying. So you basically just have to make sure you're facing him so you can continue to attack him during that time. He also does get a vulnerability up debuff during this, so it's technically better to save standard step for that point, since your standard step will be better, but it's not worth saving tech step for. So we'll just kill him off here, and then run on through. Wait to use sprint at the right time to maximize it. Yeah, Midare does not have the same potency 100% just because Midare simply can't have the same potency because it's single target. But that's definitely very similar in terms of overall power. This is a really good section for Dancer because you can just keep going the whole time through. This dungeon does not stop you from doing this big pull if you really wanted to, but it's just impossible to do while in level synced. Your healer basically needs to be a god to do this one. So basically, do it with me. I'm your god healer. Now this fight is probably the fucking worst out of all of them. Because she does this stupid little attack called Seduce, and there is no way for me to avoid this without losing DPS for 10 seconds. So, it's very annoying in that regard. Thankfully, we're our ranged DPS, so we can just have a little fun like that. But once again, she casts it at specific health bar totals. So the only way to really make this faster is to avoid those health bar totals, and that's really hard to do, unfortunately. When she does the last one here, I should be able to burst her in time. Oh, actually, I skipped past it. Nice. I was able to skip past it, so she won't do it again. Perfect. That's great. It makes you a god healer too? Hell yeah, Check. You're great. Okay, I saw something disappear from the aggro list for a second. So I thought I had somehow, like, not gotten the crab to come with me. But that wasn't really the case. There's also something to note about dungeon design when Stormblood started. When Stormblood started, the average distance between, like, you know, first boss, second boss, or start of the dungeon to the end of the dungeon, the distance got ridiculously lower in comparison. Now, I have no idea what really spawned it, but it does actually make Dancer less effective at a certain point. Because the big reason why Dancer is more effective is its ability to traverse longer distances faster than any other class. But because the distances get shorter, Dancer gets less effective, which is the main reason that after Alamigo, I choose to swap to Red Mage, because even though I technically can do the next two dungeons as Dancer, the distances between, like, first and second bosses are short enough that it no longer really concerns me. Yeah, that's another thing about this particular boss that I'm not the biggest fan of, is the ad phases. There's no real way to skip past the ad phases, unfortunately. And I still have to wait, no matter what, for this little dumb animation bullshit to play. It's the same thing. You can avoid it by skipping past the HP thresholds, but it's really hard to do. Like, chances are I hit her once here and she's gonna activate Thick Fog again. Yeah, there it is. Like, best I can do is just nail her a little bit. Hopefully that 16% means she won't do it a third time, but chances are I should be able to, regardless, kill her here. After Alamigo, I couldn't solo big pulls anymore since enemies' damage output was too big. Also used Red Mage self-heal. Can't imagine doing this with classes other than Red Mage and Paladin. You can do it as a warrior. Warrior's self-healing is really good. Yeah, the damage output for tank classes is just too low. It's more consistent 100%, but it's just too low. But yeah, I can solo the big pulls in Alamigo, Kugane Castle, and Temple of the Fist, but after that, once you get to the Drowned City of Scala, there's just nothing. There's no way you can do it. So after Alamigo is where I swap to Red Mage. Targeting things.
Fucking what, mate?
Here's bit extra from me.
Jesus fucking Christ, Kyros. You little bitch! Why would you do that? Thank you so much, Kyros. Holy shit, man. Thank you so goddamn much. You did not have to do that, but that helps immensely. Thank you so much, dude. Holy shit, I lost my train of thought because Kyros is a generous bastard. Oh no, dude. For being a tier 1 friend. Thank you, Kyros. Alright, so this first boss here is just kind of... You have to deal with when he stuns you. There's no way to avoid it. But the big thing is there's one attack that he can give you where it can cause a problem with you simply because of the high... It's this one right here. So this attack right here, Rush... If you're too close, even at the HP threshold that I'm at, he can, like, almost one-shot me. So, you need to go far away from him to minimize the damage. Okay, and he's going to stun me here. So I have to avoid a bunch of AoEs here. The first ones are not actually that bad, but thankfully he did not give me a whole lot of AoEs, because depending on where he rushes to, it will cause the animals to wake up and attack you. And you don't want that to happen. That's not good. That's really not good. Alright, so first up here is a pull that has no way to go faster. So we actually end up saving our sprint because of that. We're also very specifically also going to just pop all cooldowns when they come up. And the reason for that, if you don't know, will become apparent sooner rather than later. But we save sprint for this section here just so that we can spawn the next set of enemies quicker. The reason we want to spawn these enemies quicker so we can kill them quicker, because the next boss, we do not use any... The next boss, we do not use any damage whatsoever because he disables us. He says, out of the action. So, the main thing about this boss is it's specifically a mechanics test. If you fail mechanics, that's how you can fail this boss. So basically you just have to play the fight entirely by doing the mechanics. So you want to avoid the gaze by looking away from him, avoid the AoEs by stepping into the safe spots when they come. Yeah, it's also an auto-scroller boss. There's no way to speed it up. Which that ultimately doesn't, you know, make me... That ultimately doesn't affect me whatsoever. I really like this boss conceptually, but it is kind of not fun to do multiple times. Especially because the mechanics themselves are not actually that hard at all. The main thing that I was worried about is this. I thought that these conviction towers that spawn would eventually screw me. However, what I learned after doing this for the first time solo is that it only spawns up to 3 of them based on how many people are in your party. So those conviction towers normally spawn 3 for 4 players in your party. But if you're solo, it only spawns 1. So thankfully, it doesn't screw you over. Otherwise, this dungeon would be unsoloable as a result. The reason why it would be unsoloable is because if you take 2 hits, you're considered out, and if all players in the instance take those 2 hits of damage, they all get locked up, and it just resets the fight. Thankfully, I am, you know, not bad at the game, and it's pretty easy to just avoid this stuff. Here, so that was $30 fucking, dude. That's ridiculous, man. You're actually just a Giga Chad. Giga Chad Kyros, my guy. Okay, so I want to go to the one up north. Cool. Being a Giga Chat is the real motive. You found me out again. True. Anyway, Bardham's is not a great dungeon for that exact reason. For all dungeon speedruns, because this is an auto-scroller boss. There's absolutely no way to speed that up. The mechanics go at the same speed every single time. And ultimately, you just need to be halfway decent at playing the game to do that solo. Not even halfway decent. You could be pretty bad and still do that solo. No problem. The main thing here is I'm trying to kill specifically one of these guys. Okay, I got them both, which is fine. Next up is getting past these giant boulders. Holy shit, it's Indiana Jones and all that jazz. Oh, hey, that's, I wasn't expecting a 3rd boulder. Was there always 3 boulders there? Or am I just dumb? I think I'm just dumb. There's probably always been 3 boulders there. It's 1 boulder, then 2 after the first. Yeah, apparently. I just remember there only being 2, but today you learned they aren't insta-kill, never got hit by one. They are still a significant chunk of your health back in Stormblood HP values, so yeah, I don't blame you for not necessarily wanting to get hit by one. Alright, so this boss has a very specific quirk about it. It has an HP threshold for an ad phase that is possible to burst past. So you'll notice here, I'm not using standard step unlike I normally would. The reason for this is I want to burst past that to avoid the ad phase entirely. So I want to get him down to about 15%, or just above 15% here. Stop my auto attack, and if I do this right and get a direct hit crit, damn, dude. Okay, I was just a little bit above it. I need to be 18% for future reference. But basically, if you can burst him past so he doesn't do this little ad phase here, where you can't kill him and have to kill his wings. So, it's entirely possible to do, but it is hard. Not a big deal, though. We still come out of that with a sub 10 minute, which is definitely well ahead of what the world record did for that. Now, Doma Castle is where things start getting a little bit dangerous. So, Doma Castle has some ridiculously big pulse, and they do a lot of damage. You do have to start managing your defensive cooldowns here, which is Shield Samba, Arm's Length, Curing Waltz, and Second Wind. You do have to actually start caring about them at this point with Dancer. Because you can and will fucking explode if you're not careful. The first thing we're going to do is use Standard Step to get the DPS buff going. We're going to try and kill at least one of these guys, half health the other guy. And we're very specifically going to hit them here and get right up onto this door. We're going to use Flourish to use as much much AoE burst as we can get. Boom. Okay, perfect. So it ended up working out that I didn't have to end up I killed them fast enough that I didn't have to end up using any of my defensive cooldowns to start with. This is good, because if things don't go wrong, this means I have a little bit more buffer if things go a bit more wrong later on. So I want to try and kill this giant Colossus before we get to the gunship up here. Very specifically because the combination of the gunship and the Colossi together create some annoying AoEs that make it very hard to hit every enemy with your AoE attack. So right here, I'm just going to start by using Curing Waltz, just to give myself a little bit of extra health, so that my natural regen will put me at a point where I can safely attack the first boss here. You'll probably see me use Shield Samba in boss fights, and then you'll see me use Arm's Length in mob pulls. Because an effect of Arm's Length that you can use in a defensive cooldown situation is that it applies slow to any enemies that hit you. Slow will lower the attack speed of enemies by 20%, effectively over the course of a 15-second period, giving you about 22 to 23% damage reduction, which is more than what you would get from Shield Samba. Shield Samba is definitely way more important to hold for bosses that have tank busters, or stack markers, which are intended to split the damage between the entire party. So thankfully we got out of that relatively unscathed. Once again, I'm going to hit Curing Waltz here just to give myself a little bit more HP, so my natural regen, and put myself in a decent location. So we're almost at full thanks to natural regen. And the main thing here is this is another one of those cases where the game does not restrict you. If you want, you can pull these enemies all the way to the next boss door. Albeit you can't go in due to the fact that the boss door is locked until you kill, all the enemies. Yeah, and the big pulls in this dungeon are scary, especially when level synced. And that's probably like one of the biggest things is when you're level synced. Being level synced is absolutely the biggest detriment to being able to do these effectively. I'm going to pop Flourish, and then I'm going to pop... That's not quite great. Not giving me the AoEs I want here, but I should be able to burst them down here. I popped Arm's Length to lower their damage output. I also popped Second Wind to heal myself, and Curing Waltz to do the same thing. So I'm relatively safe at this point. The only thing I have to worry about is how much health I'll start the second boss with. But it shouldn't be that big of a deal, and I should be able to get at least one Curing Waltz off during the fight. Yeah, but all the big pulls in this hit like a truck. They really do. Like, even when having, like, a full expansion, higher worth of gear set, this shit hits like a fucking truck, dude. Alright. So right here is where Shield Samba is important. This can give me direct 10% damage reduction on the stack marker, which just makes me live for a little bit longer, which is very important for this dungeon in specific. Sorry, for this boss in specific, just because he has targeted stack markers that will do a good chunk of my health that are otherwise meant to be split between the party. So I didn't need to use, my standard step there, and probably shouldn't have, but my brain saw it coming off cooldown and was just like, oh, time to hit it. It's not the right call, basically. So I'm going to pop sprint even during combat here, because the difference between how far I can go from where I enter, like, it's not worth saving at this point, because once I get up to these doors, it's a very short distance between the next enemies that spawn and, like, the end of the the end of the dungeon, basically. These guys also do a good chunk of damage, but they won't ultimately put me in a place where I can be, like, threatened. Is more or less how it goes. If need be, I can, Words are hard, how do I use them? If need be, I can, just wait before engaging the final boss to get my health up, but I don't think I'll end up having to for the most part. I'm also saving this, Saber Dance until these guys spawn, so again, I can make maximum use of them. Use of the damage that comes from them. And thankfully this section is pretty low damage output overall. So as long as I'm above, like, you know, 40k HP when I start this section, I should be good enough to go for the final boss. Which the final boss is one of my favorite opening lines, period, just because it's such a blatant reference. Stay the line, dude. Stay the line. It's so fucking blatant, and I love it. The next thing he does is going to be a proximity AoE that spawns on me. This does do a lot of damage, so when this eventually goes off, I need to, like, go to the other side of the room. I did test it. It won't one-shot me, but, like, if I stay too close to it, I do put myself at risk at the HP value I'm at from, like, putting myself in a dieable situation. So you want to avoid dying. That's how that goes. Storm of blood, born from blood of our fallen brothers. Alright, so Abonia is another one that's going to be a bit of a challenge. There are some very damaging big pulls here that can put me in supreme risk if I'm not careful. So I want to try and make sure that I manage my cooldowns accordingly. And once again, once we're done with Al Amigo, that's it. That's no more Dancer. At that point, we swap to Red Mage for the rest of the speedrun. Now, Stormblood has less dungeons than both Heavensward and A Realm Reborn, so there won't be as many that I'll have to go through here. But, especially later on, some of the dungeons will start taking me more than 10 minutes, simply because of the amount of enemies I have to kill that have large amounts of HP. And it's at that point where Dancer just loses its blatant advantage over other DPS classes. Because Dancer is all about continuing to move, continuing to deal damage, and moving in such a way that you continue to go fast. But when Dancer can no longer, like, survive big pulls, that's basically where Dancer just completely loses its effectiveness over other classes. Because no longer at that point does your ability to deal damage and deal high burst while continuing to move matter at all, because you can't continue to move, basically. Don't die? Damn good advice, bro. You can just open up an intelligence agency. True. Wow, I actually have max... Wow, that's literally never happened in a speedrun before. I've never had max, Never had max fan dances before. Alright, so this guy, I'm just gonna preemptively pop second wind because I need to be at full HP for him. He has a super hard-hitting tank buster that comes out of nowhere. So I need to be, like, at a high enough HP value to... be able... I need to be at a high enough HP value that, like, it doesn't put me in the danger zone for the next big pull, basically. It is possible. There is an ad phase that this boss has. If I do enough damage, it is possible for me to skip it. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I might not. Just barely. That being said, the ad phase comes out, and he's at low enough HP that I don't need to worry about it. He does go targetable again very briefly, so if I can hit him in that time, which I did, it creates a situation where he is completely dead. Ideally, we don't have to deal with that invulnerability, but you know how that goes. Not always applicable. I need to kill... Specifically... I want to kill all of these if possible, but... not always applicable. Okay, so I did get at least one Fandance proc and some pretty good crit luck, so... easily able to move on from that. This boss is part motorcycle. It is. It's great. I love Garlean technology. It would be more effective to use that Saber Dance on the next big pull, but ultimately if I can kill all these pods here, I only have to worry about 2 ads, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me to just save it for that when I can use it as a GCD and guarantee a kill in one more GCD than what it would have taken me. One less GCD. Every GCD you don't have to spend is 2.5 seconds saved, approximately. Made through. By the way, this guy's a Final Fantasy VI reference. Smile. Not getting great luck with my, okay, that's decent. That's decent luck with Fandance procs. I just have to deal with the additional damage here, but ultimately it shouldn't be a super large amount. Ice and fire, which means thunder aspect. Doesn't really matter, though. I can kill him before that mechanic comes into play, thankfully. Alright, so this last big pull is where things, like, absolutely go to shit. Like, if I'm not careful and I'm not paying attention, I'm fucking dead here. Straight up. Because the amount of ads that spawn here is ridiculous. Really good crit luck, though. Definitely helped that I got really good crit luck there. Things just started exploding really quick. Alright, these are the last ads of Castrum of Bonia. Is this boss an FF3 reference? As an Iron Giant Super Boss remake in the DS remake. Those are just normal enemies in FF14. The last thing you fought? Oh, no. Sorry. The last thing that I fought was an FF6 reference. But there are a lot of enemies and just designs that are inspired by older Final Fantasies in this. In general, a lot of the basic stuff steals like names and enemies and designs from older Final Fantasies. This one is also an FF6 reference. Born from blood up. Okay. So his hand just got super big and enlarged here, which means he now gives me a tank buster, which also bleeds me. So at this point, I'm on a timer. I can't remove this debuff, unfortunately, so I have to take the bleed damage. So I have to be able to burst him down. I have to be able to burst him down at that point before he does it again and effectively just kills me. But this is the last dungeon that we will be using. This is the last dungeon that we will be using Dancer on. Every dungeon after this will be using Red Mage. And this one is just barely possible with Dancer in terms of big pulls. Just barely possible. Because this dungeon hits like a truck. Like, every dungeon hits harder after this, but like this one specifically, in Dancer terms, hits like a truck. Thankfully, most of the ads in this place die within a few GCDs. So you can pretty safely, for the most part, just like move on through, get all the damage that you need to deal, and it would still end up being faster because of all the damage that you can output than doing Red Mage, where you basically can't do damage while continuing to move. Now, I know I'm really low here, but this is actually fine because Alamigo has these forced wait sections here, where your allies sieging this building have to blow up these walls for you. So it gives you plenty of time for your natural out-of-combat regen to do the work you need to survive the damage. So I'm going to specifically stay in range of these guys, get over to this wall, which will spawn another set of enemies. This is where I'm going to have to use arm's length. I want to be able to lower the damage from these guys as much as possible. Also want to try and stack them up. Maximize the damage as usual. We'll get another Curing Waltz out when that comes off of cooldown, which should give us just enough health to live through this. I didn't want to have to flourish, but I'm just going to do it for safety. I'm more concerned about getting through this without dying than I am, you know, doing it completely optimally. Now, the last dungeon had two Final Fantasy VI references. The first boss of this dungeon is a Final Fantasy VII reference. Very specifically, it's the very first boss you fight in Final Fantasy VII. And he's really not a threat. We don't need to worry about any defensive cooldowns against this guy. Because of all the channeled abilities that he does and avoidable damage, it's very easy to just deal with this guy, no problem. Aim when the tail is up. Yep. Yeah, he's really not a threat in terms of, like, being able to kill you. So, thankfully, it is no big deal. We don't have to use any defensive cooldowns. Any that we use will come off of... Yeah, no kidding, huh? That mistranslation was a big problem for everybody. Like, no kidding. Yeah, as you can see, these bosses start lasting, like, way longer in terms of their overall, like, how long they live and, like, their HP pools. The biggest reason for this is, you know, this is probably the single biggest reason why Dancer eventually loses out over Red Mage. It's just that ridiculous level of the HP pools just simply get to the point where better sustained damage becomes better than burst. Now, it is possible to big pull this entire section here. However, I will not be doing that. The reason I will not be doing that is because these two enemies right here, these Avengers, they hit like a truck. These guys basically need to guarantee die before I can even think about continuing onward. And they also have a lot of HP for normal adds in a dungeon. Now that that's done, though, we should be able to pull off this next pull just fine. We just have to manage everything correctly here, and we need to continue to move in the right way. All these guys come out. We want to avoid as much damage as we can, and burst. Pop defensive cooldowns so we have the most ability to live. Okay, cool. Accidentally hit on Avant there. That was bad. Thankfully, with this pull, the two smaller adds will eventually die. You can kill it, no problem. Yeah, the basic only reason why I run Dancer in this dungeon and then swap off to Red Mage after is this dungeon still has long corridors where it can Dancer's like ability to move through the level can benefit. So this is going to be an interesting boss, just because there's no real way for me to be able to skip his special mechanic here. So, about halfway through this fight, this boss will... Wow, that's really bad luck. Holy shit. That's really bad luck. I did not get a single fan dance proc from all of that. Anyway, this is a special thing. He stuns you, and then he makes you have an out-of-body experience. And the way this interacts is very interesting. Because normally, there's 4 players and 4 Death Claws for everything to target. However, there's 1 Death Claw, and all the lasers only target you. So you have to maneuver in such a way that you can avoid the Death Claw and the lasers and get back to your body without getting hit. Because if you get hit, you will not be able... You're basically fucked if you get hit. Like, you are just 100% fucked if you get hit. So the way that interacts with solo players is actually very interesting. And I like it. Is it really? Oh my goodness. That is some insanely bad luck. That is like a... So the chance of you not getting a single proc out of a flourish for a single fan dance flop... The chance of you not getting a single fan dance proc out of a flourish is 1 in 16. To get that twice in a row is really bad luck. Like, horrendously bad luck. Alright, so we very specifically saved our sprint until now. We can get max duration out of it, and it has this very, very long hallway here where we can take advantage of natural regen, as well as deal good damage to everything along the way before we get to the point where we need to focus on killing things. Next, we're going to head and pop our first cooldown. Going to hit Flourish and Arm's Length. And our goal here is to get down these laser grids while also killing as many of the enemies as we can here. Thankfully, we can kill most of the enemies while continuing to target the laser grid, and then we can head on over to the last 2 adds. 1 in 256 odds just happened. Yeah, that map checks out. Every time I don't get it, the chance doubles. So it would be 1 in 32, and then it would be 1 in 64, And it'll be 1 in 128, and then 1 in 256. So yeah, you're 100% right. That's a 1 in 256 chance. It's 8 times in a to not get a single Fan Dance proc out of 2 flourishes. Alright, cool. And the final boss awaits. So, normally I would wait around for 1 second to make sure my natural regen can do the work. However, I actually ended at an HP threshold I was pretty comfortable with overall. So I'm pretty sure I can just take on Xenos here with no real worry. Alright, so these arts of the X are mechanics that you have to do because they will be important to make sure that you can get past fast. If you fail one of them in the wrong, if you fail 2 out of 3 of them in the wrong way, you'll get a damage down debuff, which makes the fight take longer because you're not dealing as much damage. Da, 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 da. So it's not going to happen, but there is a very specific HP threshold that Xenos can get to, where he'll go into an ad phase. It's basically not going to be possible to take it out, to get past it, rather. But it would be neat if it was possible. Don't do it again, dude. Holy shit, that's 3 flourishes in this instance that I had not gotten a single Fan Dance proc off of. That's ridiculous, dude.
Show me your roll.
Yeah, so this is the HP threshold. Like I said, I got him to 5%. It's possible to skip it with some Lux and good like damage procs. But unfortunately the game was not having it with Fan Dance procs. Straight up. But yeah, Art of the Storm creates an AoE that you want to avoid. Art of the Swell creates a knockback that you want to get close to so you don't get into the walls of the arena. And then Art of the whatever the fuck. I think it's Rend. That just does the straight light damage to you, which is not that big of a deal. I'm actually just going to do this to get it over and done with. This is also the only fight where I can use 2 technical steps in a single fight. But yeah, basically as long as I'm not dumb, Xenos will never deal enough damage to me to be a true threat. He lived at 0.1. Holy shit, dude. That's annoying. Alright, 12-minute dungeon. That's fine, though, because now we swap to Red Mage. So, at this point, we now move on to Red Mage. And the reason we move on to Red Mage is because starting about here and for the rest of Stormblood, it basically becomes impossible for Dancer to be able to consistently maintain big pulls. And being able to maintain big pulls is super important because your AoE damage only becomes more efficient the more enemies that are in your damage. So what you'll see me do with Red Mage is you'll see me basically not cast any abilities if I can't, get every enemy in a specific location, and start AoEing them down for maximum efficiency. And I'll pull everything. And then when my HP starts to get low, you'll start seeing me do a weave of Vercure into Impact. Vercure will heal me, and Impact will deal a lot of damage. There's also the mechanic of Red Mage's design called Dual Cast. Basically, whenever Red Mages cast an ability, the next ability that they cast will be instant. And Red Mage has these abilities that have long cast times, but deal more damage. So the basic way that it's supposed to work is that you hard cast your short abilities, like Ver Arrow, into Impact, or Vercure into your long cast for maximum efficiency, basically. So since I'm low HP, basically right now you're seeing me use Vercure to heal myself, and then use one of my long casts to deal damage. This will be the basic flow of my damage dealing capabilities for the rest of my journey through all dungeons, Stormblood. Unfortunately, I didn't really get the damage numbers that I wanted to kill that guy a bit quicker, so it's a bit unfortunate in that regard. Thankfully, these guys don't have a whole lot of HP. The other thing you'll try and see me do in order to maximize efficiency is you'll see me use Displacement and Core as movement abilities. Core will target an enemy and dash to them, and Displacement will jump away from them. If I use these right, I can be super efficient with them, and basically use them to speed through dungeons quicker than if I just, sprinted through it entirely. They also deal damage, so you will see me use them in fights and in mob pulls when I know I'm going to be there for the full duration. But for the most part, you're basically just going to see me use them for movement. So the first boss here does have a stack marker that I have to look out for. He can kill me here, so I'm going to try and be at full HP for that when he eventually gets to it. So right now, I'm just going to chain Vercures into Ver Thunder or Ver Arrow, and now that he's at this HP threshold, now that I'm at this HP, I should be fine if he does end up doing the stack marker. But he should be dead here. Yeah, okay. So we ended up being able to avoid that, thankfully. Avoid the stack marker damage by just bursting him down faster than he could get to it. So we don't have to worry about the damage threshold at that point. But here we are into the second phase, and once again, this is where you're going to continuously see using dual cast to the great effect, and the fact that Red Mage has a single target heal to effect as well. Another thing you'll notice is, unlike Dancer, I'm not hitting these guys. I'm messing up my casts. That's really bad. Hopefully this guy dies before he gets to summon off. Okay, yeah, he did. That's good. Yeah, you'll basically see me try and maximize my casts as best I can. Ideally, I have dual casts for when I get to, sections like this, so I can at least get one cast off on an enemy and drag them to me quicker than if they just, walked up to me normally. And the reason for that is simple. It lets me get closer to them quicker, to displace quicker, gets displacement on cooldown quicker, all this good stuff, which is basically just really nice in terms of maximizing your speed through dungeons. But the 100%, the biggest reason why Red Mage is just your best bet is it has the ability to heal itself and also deal a significant amount of damage. It can survive big pulls while dealing a significant amount of damage, which at the end of the day is where its big advantage comes into play for Stormblood. Now, I'm at low HP here, but this boss isn't really going to pose much of a threat to me. So I'm not going to worry super hard about my health as long as I can manage to avoid his attacks perfectly fine. Maybe I will have to Vercure. Yeah, I probably will. It's probably safe for me to just do it. Give myself at least one Vercure for a little bit more survivability. This should lead me straight into my burst. I should just be able to avoid these ads, right? Yeah, cool. Perfect. For the most part, if ads spawn in a boss fight, and you can kill the boss safely without needing to deal with the ads, it's better to just do so. So I can, obviously, as you just saw, still continue to engage with enemies. But the main reason why it's not always, like, a good idea is the only two ways I have to be able to instantly cast and deal with enemies is Swift Cast or an ability here called Reprise. And the thing about Reprise, I'm going to have to do 2 Vercures here for safety. Thankfully, they both crit. The thing about Reprise is it's only a ranged attack when you have black and white mana to spare. When you don't have black and white mana to spare, it becomes kind of a pain in the ass. Because it loses its ability to be a ranged ability at that point. Yeah, again, like I said, basically the main thing you'll see me doing here is I will be casting for Cure. Hopefully only once, but these enemies do hit quite a lot. For quite a lot of damage. So I have to kind of keep spamming it. The other thing you'll see me do is I'll try and often be kiting. And obviously the big advantage of kiting is it delays how long it takes for the enemies to auto-attack you. So if there's room, you'll see me kiting in circles. If there isn't room, you'll just see me kiting back and forth through the play area, more or less. Okay, cool. Managed to get through that well alive. But yeah, basically, at this point, you should probably expect most dungeons to take around the 10-minute mark or higher. And as we get super later on, like, pretty much everything should be taking 10 minutes or more. Now, something you do have to worry about with Red Mage that you didn't have to worry about with Dancer is a resource. Specifically, MP. You do have to worry about MP as, what's poppin', Yojimbo? Yeah, it's Yojimbo from FF10. It's literally him. Hey. Hey, that's rude, bud. What you doing? But, it is possible to run out of NP and really mess yourself up. But the main thing to note is that you have this ability, Lucid Dreaming, which gives you Refresh, which starts refreshing your... it starts giving you big... It basically starts giving you a big MP regeneration. So as long as you keep your Lucid Dreaming rolling in dungeons, you should never run out of mana, ideally. You really only, like, run out of mana by forgetting to pop Lucid Dreaming. But thankfully, Yojimbo went down fairly fast, and we did it sub 10, which is a new record for me in that dungeon. Alright, next up is Temple of the Fist. This is a dungeon that I have died in practice multiple times. So this is one I'm really going to have to try and play safe here. But I can tell you right now, we're on very good pace in terms of the world record. Because we just passed the 1 hour mark, and the world record passed the 1 hour mark before they were even done with Alamigo. So we're about 10 minutes ahead at this point. But yeah, that's the ideal situation with Core and Displacement. You Core and then you immediately displace, which will... Hey, break, damn it. Gotta keep moving. You Core and then, like, you immediately displace off of the same enemy in the path you want to go. And that's the ideal situation. So right here, as I get to these guys, I'm going to start running along, and then I'm going to cast for Cure, and then try and cast Impact. If I feel like I don't have the HP to continue to do that, I will just simply cast another Cure for safety. Like right here, I'm just going to cast a Cure for safety. The main goal here is I need to try and kill... Oh god. I got to sprint for safety here. I believe I'm dead. I don't believe I can get up. Yep, okay. So, once again, just... Like I said, this is a dungeon I've died on before, so... It's possible to do this big pull and live, but Unfortunately, unlike Dancer, Red Mage doesn't have access to damage reduction effects like Shield Samba or doesn't have access to damage reduction effects like Shield Samba or the Arm's Length ability, which, you know, applies slow to the enemy. And the only way it has to heal itself is through Vercure. It doesn't have access to, like, a quick OGCD cast to keep itself alive, basically. So unfortunately, I didn't do that right. But ultimately, you live and you learn, and we're gonna take the death and roll on. Because we can definitely do this big pull still, regardless. Ideally, I get them all, like, right around here so I can hit the moss wall while I'm at it. Okay, cool. I'm able to hit the moss wall while I'm at it. So I want to be hitting the moss wall here because it does spawn more ads. And these ads I will have to take out. So I think I'm pretty safe to just, like, pull out for Thunder into Vercure for a bit, I think. Probably. Yeah, absolutely. Who am I kidding? These things don't deal damage. Well, not really what I wanted, but I'll work with it, I suppose. Ooh, that's bad. I wanted to go in for my melee combo there, but basically forced me not to. Because I'm pretty sure that gives you a damage down if you get hit by any of this boss's abilities. Yeah, and then two bosses can't do spawn here, but you're usually able to kill one before the other one becomes a major threat. It's gonna be interesting to see how many times I die. Because every time I die, it very well could cost me upwards of like 4 to 5 minutes, depending on the circumstance. I will gain a lot of time over the current world record by not dying, simply because I'm being more efficient than they were in every capacity. However, every time I die, that gap is going to get a little bit slower and lower, basically. Like right here is another case of like a really big pull. And I know for a fact that if I push it too hard on this one, I absolutely will bite the dust. So once again, we're going to dual cast Vercure into an AoE ability, continue to run forward, which will kite them out. And then, ideally, situation there is, yeah, we just kill all the small enemies, leave the big ones ready to go. But something I haven't really done yet is I haven't used the AoE version of Red Mage's melee combo. So, Red Mage is a class that likes to use melee hits. I gotta swift cast this Vercure or I'm fucking dead. Yeah, I fucked up there. I gotta be more careful. If I didn't swift cast that, I was 100% dead. So words are hard. How do I use them, dude? I literally don't know. So it has these 3 melee hits, which it uses for its melee combo, which leads into Ver Holy and into Ver Flare. Its big, like, burst abilities. But it also has a way... sorry. The thing about it is you need to have this black and white mana to be able to do that. But you can also spend this black and white mana on this ability right here, Molinet, which is a AoE dump for your black and white mana. The reason why that would sometimes be advantageous is it is a 1.5 second recast, which means it's faster than the normal double cooldown, And it does higher burst in a much quicker way than, you know, using impact would. It's only 20 potency less, but it comes out faster than, impact does, and doesn't require a dual cast. Alright, that's 4 and aft, so I need to go left and right. So something about this boss that's pretty unique is that every single one of its avoidable attacks applies damage down. Even in a, you know, if this was like a savage fight, this would be the norm for that savage fight. You know, everything that's avoidable gives you a damage down. But for a normal dungeon, it's actually just like very weird for every single avoidable attack to give you a damage down debuff. So this boss is pretty unique in that regard. Thankfully, because of all of his attacks being, avoidable, we can just burst him down no issue without needing to worry about using Vercure to heal ourselves. So this is another pull that I have to stop at this point. And this is basically going to be the first example of where Molinet becomes like super powerful. It's like I can burst for 200 AoE potency on all these guys really quickly. It does a lot of damage to them. And as long as I'm at a good HP threshold, I don't have to worry about dying too. So that would have been way faster than bursting it down with like Burr Arrow into Impact or Thunder into Impact type of deal. However, for these guys, a bit of a different story. I won't have access to Molinet because I only have 2016 versus the like 80 plus I had before. And they're also... there's more of them, which means they'll hit harder. So I pretty much will only have access to 1 Ver Thunder, 2 into Impact here. Everything else is going to have to be Vercure into Impact, and then doing the circle strafing here. Once again, if I feel myself threatened, I'll just do two Vercures in a row. Try and keep myself alive, type of deal. The ideal situation is enough of these guys die that I'll just be able to avoid using Vercure entirely at a certain point, which I believe I've reached. There is also a very weird thing about, currently about Red Mage's damage output. At 2 targets, it's actually more efficient to use the single target ability Jolt, or any of the Verstone, Verfire, or either of the Verstone or Verfire spells if you have procs, into Impact. It's more total potency at 2 targets to do that, basically. Alright, so here's the last boss, Ivan Kurlfist. His first ability, Spirit Wave, places a tornado at the furthest target away. So, oop, that's unfortunate. In an ideal situation, a ranged would just go out, bait that. People would not have to worry about it. But the real reason Ivan Kurlfist is kind of like dangerous is that ability right there, Touch of Slaughter. So, here's the thing. Touch of Slaughter puts the person it targets to 1 HP. I got lucky there, because I forgot about it. And Ivan Kurlfist can auto-attack right after. So, the basic thing is, if you don't have a Vercure ready to go there, you can get auto-attacked and die from this boss. I got lucky because his attack avoided me. I got super lucky. But thankfully, though, that ad phase does give you a lot of stacks of damage up, so you can just deal a shit ton of damage to him, which will end up killing the fight really quick. If you're really on the ball with it, you can, no joke, just, like, get all 16 of those damage ups. Alright, cool. And now we get to the point where I'm really expecting myself to die a few times here and there. So, here's the Drowned City of Scala. The Drowned City of Scala has a couple really big pulls that are going to be hard for me to manage if I'm not careful. Looking forward to the burn. Oh, dude, I'm sorry to say, I cannot handle the burn. The burn's mega pulls are fucking impossible. Like, if you are not using a tank, they're fucking impossible, straight up. Like, you do not have the defense on a red mage to deal with it, unfortunately. I'm gonna have to, like, really be slow on the pulls with that one. So you might wonder why sometimes I go through the sections with the Vercure into Impact versus sometimes I just run to the end. It depends on the size of the pull, as well as if I feel I'll need the healing. So here in this pull, I don't feel... He interrupted my cast. God damn it. That's so rare for that to happen. Getting your cast interrupted by this guy is so rare. But basically, I didn't feel like I needed it for the start of this, because I knew I would have enough health to survive that pull based on experiences with Dancer. But the moment that I start this pull is where I start doing the Vercure into Impact, run forward. Once my GCD is up, stop, Vercure into Impact, run forward. Same basic thing over and over. We want to kill as many of these guys while continuing to move forward and keep ourselves healthy as possible. Once we get to a specific point, we stop moving and we focus entirely on killing them and kiting. At this point, I believe there's enough of them that I am safe. The reason why I don't continue onward is because this wall here, it blocks me from continuing to go forward. And this wall, unlike a lot of other walls that, you know, block you from being done with a dungeon, lasts for a long time after the visual effect starts to fade. So I do have to be careful with this boss. Its Torpedo is a tank buster that does a decent chunk of my health. There are also mechanics that deal a good chunk of damage to me if I don't do them correctly. But the main thing I have to worry about is Torpedo. I just screwed up. Okay. So this is a thing that can happen with Red Mage. You see on my Black Magic, White Magic bar, the top was lit up in white. And you can see it was lit up white there again. So that means I've gone overboard in one specific mana type, which now means my gain for the other mana type is going to be halved. And that is unfortunately something that can happen with Red Mage. If you're not paying attention and not being careful. That basically lowers your DPS by making it take longer to get to your melee combo and subsequently, you know, your burst phase. But I do have a melee combo ready to go here, but I'm not actually going to use it on the single target version. What I'm actually going to do is this. We're going to start by putting out damage into this guy, and then we're going to use a bunch of enchanted reprises on him. The reason we're doing that is this guy likes to stay there and cast an ability every single time that... Oop, what's it, Daisy? That's the wrong cast. That's fine. Every single time that you aggro one of these guys. So, we put a bunch of damage into him, and then when he finally gets over here, we can hit all these guys with the AoE damage from the enchanted Molinet. And that ends up killing them a lot quicker. Now, I'm doing something here that's going to be very risky. Like, straight up super risky. So, this big pull deals an incredibly large amount of damage, but it is manageable by doing the circle strafe strat I mentioned with Impact and Vercure. It's very rare that you'll be able to do this, like, you know, stupidly effectively, but I believe. I believe I can do it. Because this room has an incredibly large amount of room to maneuver. You can basically see it already. The amount of room I have to maneuver around this room means that I can circle strafe extremely effectively. Target choice is also important for AoE because depending on who you target, some enemies might not get hit with the AoE. So actually this worked out incredibly well. We ended up killing them way more efficiently than I thought we could. I probably didn't need to do like half of the Vercures that I actually did, but here we are. Maybe I could do the Burns AoE pull. Who knows? Anyway, the only reason we're sprinting here is because I know this fight's going to take more than a... I know it's going to take more than a minute. So just getting into it quicker saves time. But there's a neat little thing about this boss, is that he has these phases. Where he transforms you into a little fucking bitch. And this little bitch, as it were, can only place these little exploding rocks, and this is the only way to get through this ad phase. The ideal situation here is I'm going to pop this at the right time. I want to try and catch him. It's gonna have to go now. Yeah. That's silly of me. I wanted to try and catch him at the right HP threshold, because if I did it right, what would have happened is, if I did that right, what would have happened is I would have, I would have killed him and completely skipped this phase. Unfortunately, it's not really possible to get all of them as a single person. But you want to kill as many of them so that they don't just all blow up and just outright murder you. Okay, we're on good pace. We're on pretty good pace. I definitely can see this run being a 240 by the end of it, 100%. So I know it might not seem like it, even though there's only 3 enemies, but this pull can deal a deceptive amount of damage if you're not careful. There's also the fact that, if you get hit by these little lightless homunculi, you get hit by their AoE attacks, you'll get blinded, which basically lowers your accuracy. And lowering your accuracy means you have a chance to miss, and that's no good. Yeah, neat little thing about the mechanics of this dungeon is you have to step on these things to turn into little guys that can float. The little guys that can float get you across the gap. But that buff is right-clickable off, which means I can, cancel it by right-clicking the marker up here. And because it's right-clickable off, it means that you can and will fall directly into the pit and fucking die. And it's great. This is another one place where you really want to circle strafe, especially since this pull, these guys can hit like a fucking truck. Also, Liliana, are you still here? I just realized something. I realized I didn't do the Ayaya. Hydrate. I'm gonna have to do that in between dungeons, because I'm kind of really distracted as it is. Don't think I'll be able to do it otherwise. You'd use one enchanted Molinet. I think we can probably afford another one, right? Absolutely. Or we don't need to use it. Okay. Yeah, this is another boss that doesn't really give too much of a problem as long as you know what you're doing. The main reason it doesn't give too much of a problem is it has a lot of untargeted attacks, but they're very easy to dodge, and some of them, like, you could already be in the safe spot for. He doesn't focus on a lot of attacks that are unavoidable. He has a lot of avoidable attacks, I should say. There we go. A lot of avoidable attacks and a lot of attacks where he just stands there, like... A lot of attacks where he just stands there, basically. Fun fact, his face also kind of looks like Macho Man Randy Savage, and I just think that's funny. It kind of looks like the glasses of Macho Man Randy Savage. It's like, oh yeah, brother! Nice. Raise your tail. Don't force me to move. Love that. I'll be fine. Probably don't need to worry, right? Okay, cool. 1149. That's a bit worse than I would have wanted. Alright. While we're loading into Hell's Lid here, I'll do what Kyros asked of me. Get some water. Now, the burn here is pretty special. The reason why it's special is it's actually one of the shortest dungeons when synced. And that's because everything in this dungeon just fucking explodes. Like, for some reason, everything in this dungeon just fucking explodes in terms of its health bar. But in terms of the speedrun, it's actually still kind of a long one. Just because there are long distances to travel and still plenty of enemies you have to AoE down. And, unfortunately, AoE is a wee bit of an issue in the sense that, there's a lot of cases where you straight up can't AoE enemies down and have to single target them. Because of either A, their hitboxes and how they overlap, but also B, where they're placed. Like these guys, for example. I cannot AoE these guys at all. The hitboxes do not overlap in a way where it's possible for me to, It's just impossible for me to overlap their hitboxes and hit them with AoEs, so I have to single target these guys down, which unfortunately slows this down more than what I would like. Synced, this isn't really that big of a deal, because, like, bards just multi-dot them, and then, you know, fucking everyone just bursts them down because they deal no damage. But when you got hitboxes the size of this, like, hellish lion, it just makes the whole situation real awkward, dude. The ideal situation is you get inside of this guy's hitbox, target one of these smaller guys, you know, start hitting them, blowing them up like this, but eventually the smaller guys are going to die, and you're going to have to target one of the bigger hitbox guys, and the whole thing just turns real awkward, man. Oh, I got to get out of that. I'm low. Just for safety. Yeah, 100% just for safety. Okay, cool. This guy's a bit of a bitch. So, the reason why this guy is a bit of a bitch is he is a Cyclops clone. And there's a lot of them. There's a fucking lot of them. Basically, he can do this thing called, like, the 1,000-ton string or 100-ton swing. Like this thing. And what this does is it fucking swings all around him and deals a large amount of damage while also knocking back. I have no idea why I got tapped out there. That was weird. But basically, if that hits you, I believe it's like, it's a bone stack, but also it interrupts all your casts, and he's gonna do it a lot. Like right here. I don't know if I got out of the range of that. Okay, I did, thankfully. But the other reason he's a bitch is the next thing that he's going to do, which he targets a person in the instance and starts following them with his little, like, lava drool. And it's really annoying. This thing right here. It's really annoying because he just deals damage. And you have to, like, keep moving, which isn't that big of a deal, but, no. If he jumps at you at the wrong time, it's just an inconvenience. And then he jumps to these things, picks them up, spins around in a circle. It's just not a great time, my guy. Yeah, I tapped out on purpose every time there to check a few things. Yeah, put this water like right here. No real point in using displacement at that point. I have to run through the guys on purpose to use displacement. Thankfully, I should be able to only have to use like one Mercure impact here. I should just be able to AoE the rest down without using it. Oop. Right. Got a little turnaround there. Hey, buddy. So I'm gonna hit this guy with a bunch of enchanted reprises because we can. He's kind of an annoying big guy, and we don't want his annoying big hitbox to be in the way. So we'll just hit him a whole bunch, space away from these guys, fork over to these guys. Am I ready for Endwalker? I don't know. Like, I want it. Don't get me wrong. I want Endwalker a lot. But am I ready for it? This is the question of the ages. I don't know if I'm ready for it. I don't know what Endwalker's gonna do to me emotionally. These guys are kind of hitting like more of a truck than I remember. Okay, that should be good. I should be able to get at least 2 damaging ones off here. Okay, that should be good. Let me through the wall. I gotta go, dude. I gotta fight Kamataichi or whatever the fuck. Tachi. Tachi. There we go. Oh yeah, right. He does that attack, which deals a lot of damage. I have to get through this really quick so I can heal myself. Okay, so there is a specific thing you can do. This boss does have an ad phase, and you can skip it. However, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wait here for him to... Okay, never mind. Never mind. I was going to want him to do another ability that he does where he, like, channels something without a cast bar. But he just decided to go straight into Whisper in the Wind, so there was no saving it at that point. He auto goes into Whisper in the Wind at 25%, but I believe the mechanic I wanted him to do, which was another HP threshold one that I also bypassed. So, unfortunately, that's just how that goes. It's fine, though. Because now we just murder him. And if we're quick enough, we'll have Burr Flare and Burr Holder to use on these 2 little assholes over here. Or Scorch, rather. Scorch, that's the name of the ability. So I very specifically want to be doing damage here while I'm continuing to move, because if I don't, these things are going to run through me and make my life a living hell. This particular pull hits like more of a truck than anything I've done so far. So this particular pull is a constant spring of Vercures and doing whatever hiding I can, basically. I'm gonna have to do this. I'm dead. Yeah, no way. No way I get this off. Maybe... Oh, fuck, dude. Yeah, some of these guys can auto me crit for 20k, and then they have a hard-to-avoid cleave that also hits for 18. And he interrupted me. That's bad. Whew. Half the reason this is even possible the way it is because of the way accuracy was changed when Stormblood came out in the first place. Before Stormblood, accuracy was a stat that your character had. And basically, if that accuracy stat wasn't high enough, you had a chance to miss. So you didn't want that, obviously. You didn't want that chance to miss. So more or less what you did is you tried to make sure you had the accuracy that you needed. But nobody liked accuracy, so they removed accuracy in favor of the direct hit stat. And then they made accuracy based on your level. So if you're level 80 and the target you're fighting is level 70, the level 70 target has a chance to miss against you, but you don't have a chance to miss against it because you're a higher level. So, it's possible for mobs to miss you, which in its own form is damage reduction, because if they miss you, then they just don't deal damage to you, obviously, you know? That's how fucking things work. Alright, so Genbu here doesn't really have anything super threatening for me. The main thing is I just need to make sure that my health bar is above about 30,000 at all times. Because he has that, an untargeted tank buster that can crit me for about 35 to 40k. However, I shouldn't have to worry about it for super much longer, just because he should be going into his ad phase here very shortly. There it is. And at the start of the ad phase, I could basically just heal myself up. No problem. Yeah, I'm safe where I am. That's cool. That's good RNG, not having to move here. In most situations, you have to end up moving there, so not having to move is really good RNG for that. Okay, his untargeted tank buster should be coming soon. I'm good at the health pool I'm at. I don't know if I want to risk it, though. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Never mind. Wait, what am I doing? Why did it displace on the... Okay. That was really dumb of me. Whew. Okay. Next up is probably the one that I'm the most concerned about, which is the Fractal Continuum Hard, or Frick Frack Continuum, as I have called it since Heaven's Word. This is the one I'm probably the most worried about. Fucking music, though, dude. Though I'm very specifically worried about this one the most because of the final boss. It's possible that I will not be able to beat the DPS check on the final boss, depending on when he starts it and how bad my crit luck is. So that's really where most of my concern comes from. Fuck, right, I forgot about that. That's bad. That's really bad. I'm gonna have to double cast. Right, that was the other thing. So the fucking chimeras can cast the dragon's voice, which if I'm not underneath them, will give me a paralysis debuff. Okay, I gotta be underneath them. But the other problem with that is these minotaurs can cast a 100-ton swing, right? Which is its own problem, because a 100-ton swing, I need to get away from them. Thankfully, we're all good and dandy. Bro, I cut it way too fucking close there. Jesus Christ. I knew I was fucking cutting it close there, but holy moly. I did not mean to cut it that close. That was a wee bit ridiculous, even by my standards. Where are they facing? Okay, they're facing that way, which means I've got to go this way. Holy moly, dude. It's an effective tank buster mechanic when they do that. So I never want to be below 40k HP if I can manage at that point. I should be able to burst it here before my HP becomes a problem. Yeah, I'll get it. Whew. That is just too close for comfort, dude. Too close for comfort every time. Holy moly. I'm glad a lot of this research paid off at the very least. Right, so that's a mechanic that happens with casters on occasion. So that's something I just thought of because it happened in the previous poll. So my cast can get interrupted by enemies. Casters, if they take a hit and it's a large amount of damage compared to their total HP, they have a chance to have their cast be interrupted. If I think that's going to happen, I can cast Surecast, which gives me a 6-second window where my casts will not be interrupted. However, you know, I have to think that I'm in a situation where that's going to be applicable. Otherwise, I'll end up wasting it. So it's very easy to forget about for that reason. But also, you know, There's no real way to know except for like very specific enemies in very specific dungeons. Alright, so with this boss, we very specifically do not want him to grab the data of Sophia. If he grabs the data of Sophia, we're kind of screwed. Alright, so that's a 32k tank buster. That's unavoidable. Alright, cool. We started with Sephiroth, which is honestly like the best one to start with. There's a fire buster, and now AoE will appear. And the AoE grows, but that's the best one because it's very easy to kite away from that. How much health does this deal again? Okay, it's just a little bit more than the tank buster, gotcha. So again, like 50k HP is probably the threshold where I want to start healing myself. Alright, that's the... Damn it, okay, he did Sophia. So I have to kill him here before the mechanic that he'll do goes off. So if he did Sophia first, he would have hit me with an untargetable, unsolvable mechanic because I'm only one person. And that mechanic would have given me a damage down as well as an infirmary debuff, which makes it harder to heal myself. And also makes me, words are hard. It makes it harder to heal myself, and it also makes me deal less damage, which makes the fight take longer. So in general, it's like the single worst thing to get. It's doable even with that, however, you just kind of don't want to deal with it if you don't have to. Okay, so the Ram's voice is different from the Dragon's voice. You want to get away from the Ram's voice and get under with the Dragon's voice. I'm going to keep moving here while slide casting Vercure, if I can manage it. And now that everything's in place, we'll do a few Molinees, deal that damage. I also love the name of these guys, by the way. Biomanufactured Brobanyaks. The name Brobanyak is just like, mwah, comes off the tongue. Love that shit, dude. Love the way Brobanyak comes off the tongue. Brobanyak. 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 Hey, no worries, Kiros. Thank you for hanging out, dude. Thank you for the tip. I appreciate it a fuck ton, dude. Thank you for the sub, and I hope you enjoyed the stream, dude. I'll try and stream a little bit earlier going forward. Maybe you can catch more of them, but hopefully you enjoyed this. Maybe this gives you that urge to subscribe to the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV with a free trial that includes all of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning expansion Heavensward, with no restrictions on playtime. Is this? No, this is out. This is out. This is definitely out. But how out? That was enough out. Gotcha. This is under. I want to wait until he's done this to use Displacement. Stayed for the plug, didn't regret it, Lamau. I'm glad. I'm very glad. Yeah, my expectation is they won't include Stormblood in the free trial until we're in 7.0 bare minimum. I think Heavensward is like a great, it's great, right? Because that's where things really start to get really good. In terms of like 14 as a whole. Like very few things have matched the quality that Heavensward brought. Also, yet another FF6 reference. True. This game loves to give you Final Fantasy VI reference, and yet fucking Square Enix won't make a remake of Final Fantasy VI that's actually good. Pixel remasters don't count. They're remasters, not remakes. I should heal myself. Okay, thankfully, we did get lucky here. I have seen this guy go into his enrage. For some reason, I've seen him go into his enrage at like 20%, which is kind of ridiculous if it happens. All right, next up is Swallow's Compass. So, I believe after this, we only have 3 more dungeons, correct? I think it's Burn, Arboretum, and Gimlet. Yeah. The Burn, Arboretum, and Gimlet Dark. So we have 4 dungeons left. So if all these go according to plan, we should get around a 240, as I expected. We'll see how it goes. Gotta remember to refund Liliana's Ayaya as well. Because I didn't actually do it, if I remember correctly. Might as well refund her points. Yeah, so this was the dungeon from patch 3.3. I forgot. Damn it. I forgot. This is the one with the thing I have to kill to not make myself take paralysis. No. Well. Damn. What I was trying to do there is I was trying to be cheeky. And, like, kill one of them with the AoE and kill the other one with displacement to, like, get through the barrier quickly. But it didn't work out. This is the one I like to do my melee combo on. Right, that's another thing. That's something I should mention. So, we're like a few days out from Endwalker, and a lot of jobs are going to go through like changes, some receiving major overhauls, some receiving minor overhauls. Red Mage is receiving a fairly major overhaul in its black and white mana, as well as the way its melee attacks work. So previously, you could only trigger Ver Holy and Ver Flare off of your single target melee combo. But Endwalker Red Mage will be able to trigger that, trigger Ver Holy, Ver Flare off of... They'll be able to trigger that off of Molinet as well, and Ver Holy and Ver Flare will be turning into AoEs. So, Red Mage will actually be better, like... It'll straight up be better than it is right now for dealing with Stormblood dungeons. And likely, when we get around to it, the Shadowbringers dungeons as well. I can't contain the hype. Dude, I've been feeling that way for so long. Like, when they announced it was being delayed, at first I was just like, oh, dude, a week? That's fine. 2 weeks? That's nothing. 2 weeks is nothing. I can deal with that. And then every single day that has passed since the 19th, I've just been like, dude, I could be playing Endwalker right now. Straight up. It's like every single day since then, I've just been like, dude, if they didn't delay it, I could be playing Endwalker right now. Like, 2 weeks is not too much. That's even the thing, right? It's not even too much. By the way, the only reason I live there is because I parried that attack. I completely forgot this guy had a tank buster. The hype is too much? Yeah, dude. Fucking hell. Like, man, I'm sure with Ishikawa-san being the lead writer again, like, I'm sure the story will be fantastic, but you're coming for blue shenanigans tomorrow? We'll see. It really depends on how I'm feeling, to be completely honest. I really was not feeling it the last time y'all got together. Like, Blue Mage healing was not at all what it was hyped up to be. Like, everyone told me, like, yeah, you'll really enjoy Blue Mage healing, and like, no. I've come to realize how much I enjoy healing in Final Fantasy XIV, specifically because of the off-level cooldowns. Not having OGCD heals is actually, like, such a pain in the ass. Like, way more than you'd think. You're disappointed in blue tanking? Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the things about Blue Mage really just do straight up feel like a gimmick. Like, that gimmick wears out after a while, for real. It is weird that Swallow's Compass is this weird dungeon where things just don't seem to deal that much damage in comparison. Like, 2 dungeons ago, back in Hell's Lid, right? The ads were in those pulls were dealing so much more damage than they are right now, dude. Straight up. They're dealing so much more damage. So I won't be able to use Berholi, but that's fine. I was more concerned about just finishing that guy off. Ah, I wasn't in range. Thought I would have been in range there. Guess not. But yeah, Swallow's Compass ended up being a dungeon I, like, never really worried about. Like, I went into the dungeon, realized that nothing in this dungeon was really posing a threat, and then just, like, didn't even think about strats for it. I just decided that I would wing it when I got to the time when I would do this for world record. It ended up working out. This was the only thing that was, like, somewhat of a problem. Because basically I have to keep moving this whole time, which means I have to use a couple Enchanted Reprise casts. But that's fine. This guy also doesn't have, like, a direct tank buster either. Just like an AoE that does decent damage. Do have to worry about that, though. Don't want to get hit by that. That is a problem. I don't remember if the lake widens enough for it to ever be a hardened rage or whatnot. I don't think it does, but he doesn't live long enough for it to really be a problem. Yeah, Swallow's Compass is just oddly a dungeon that doesn't really feel like anything is... Despite it being the fourth to last dungeon, right? Despite it being the fourth to last dungeon in this run, it doesn't feel like a fucking threat to me at all. It's very weird in that regard. Huh. Not bad. I'm forgetting displacement a lot. That's a couple seconds I'm really wasting. Man, what was that thing that he just put in my mouth? That was honestly pretty good. Very specific reason why I swift casted a single target on that guy there. At a certain HP threshold, this guy will call his ads out. The rest of his ads out, which means that, you know, I can get to the hole, AoEing the ads down overall much quicker. Oh yeah, I didn't actually fucking think about anything relating to Sun Wukong here. There's no way you're skipping his ad phase straight up, so... You're just gonna have to deal with his ad phase and then deal with the fact that he splits after that. I really did not think about how to optimally deal with Sun Wukong here at all. Need to make sure that I... There's no real way, because his ad phase is at 50%, for you to realistically skip it. No way in hell. Not with... His cast bars are just not long enough. And you do not deal enough first for it to really, really matter. Also, I have to really start worrying about my health here. I guess I can keep them together, but like... It's gonna be a bit awkward to try and work around that, huh? Probably have to avert cure impact here just because of the double both ends coming in. Or he could just not do that. Oh, wait, right, this is an issue. Maybe I should have, like, actually paid a little bit of attention. I should be fine, right? With the double short end. No way I die here, right? Please die. Oh wait, that's both ends. Ah! Okay, it's fine. He's dead. We did it. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. Oh no. Fucking scaring myself, dude. Alright. So, the burn. This is gonna be an interesting one. The big fulls here are pretty much unfucking manageable. They are just annoying as fuck for so many different reasons. Some of them have this annoying habit to not spawn new ads until, like, the last possible fucking second. Some hit like a truck. Some have giant hitboxes that make it impossible to hit everything. And in general, this dungeon is just an absolute bitch. I pretty much don't get to not Vercure Impact in this one as well. I have to Vercure Impact every time. Oftentimes needing to double Vercure as well. Twice in a row. Needless to say, this is probably the second hardest dungeon in terms of all dungeon Stormblood speedrun. The hardest dungeon is the Gimlet Dark. And that's just because the Gimlet Dark hits like... I've been saying that everything hits like a truck. The Gimlet Dark actually hits like a truck. Straight up. Like, there is nothing about the Gimlet Dark that does not hurt. Everything about that dungeon hurts. Ah, I got poisoned. That's bad. At least I'm getting the slide cast where I need it. Okay, cool. The last ad actually spawned before all the other ones were dead. Easily the worst part about... One of the worst parts about this dungeon is this last ad here just, like, deciding he doesn't want to spawn. That's the headbutt, luckily. Alright, first boss. Basically, every mechanic that this guy does... You're not avoiding it. End of story. You just have to deal with it. Crystal Needle? That's a tank buster. You just have to eat it. You just have to deal with it. Shardfall. Get behind one of these or fucking die. Dissonance. Get underneath them or fucking die. Crystal Needle. Tank Buster. Take some damage, my friend. Hopefully he doesn't really do any damage here. So, just for safety's sake, we're making sure our health is full. Because really, at this point, you can't really ever be below half HP, I guess, against dungeon bosses. Not unless you're 100% sure you know what's coming next. Like, if you're 100% sure you know what's coming next, then you can, you know, work around it. But if you don't have, like, that 100% certainty, playing below half health against dungeon bosses at this point is just... it's suicide. It's absolute suicide. Crit. Okay. Got a double cast for a cure, taking more damage than I would have liked. Alright, here's the pull I'm worried about. Here's where Fluffy starts getting the worried face emoji. That was supposed to be Molinet. That's bad. My brain just went to Q because I was thinking melee hit. Well, I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. I expected that to go a lot worse than it actually did. I think it's, yeah, it's 60,000 HP comfort zone for this guy. Thankfully, this guy has downtime, in which I am safe to just heal myself up to full. So when he does eventually hit me with a tank buster, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'll be able to live through it and ready up my, my everything. He really took a long time to use this buster. Like, way longer than I thought. Also, 60k is the amount of damage he deals, not the safe zone. What are you fucking talking about, Fluff? Oh no. That hit way harder than it should have. I parried that, by the way, for 15% damage reduction on that buster. That's a wee bit ridiculous. It's gonna hurt. 51k, holy shit, dude. I am risking it so badly by doing this. Jesus fucking Christ. I did not need to risk it like that, dude. Not even remotely. Holy shit, man. That did not need to go that. What the fuck? Oh, no. I gave myself a heart attack, literally. Literally gave myself a heart attack on that one. Poison really don't help, my guy. Oh! Jesus. Poison really do not help. Mucka steer, literally. So true. Alright. Everything just hits so hard, man. Dead. It missed. Oh my god, please. Let me get this off. Ah! Why am I alive? Ah, no thank you, please. No, thank you, please. I am very happy with how I am right now. In my land of the living. Thank you very much. Please die. Good lord. Everything that could have gone right to make sure I lived there went right, and it's utterly ridiculous. Every single possible thing that could have gone right to keep me alive happened. Actually unreal. Hey, Nerd Guy, what's up, dude? Good to see you. We're gonna save Contra Six for fucking when this guy comes back. Born from blood of a fallen brothers. Should have enough room. That moment deserved the clip? Absolutely. 100%. That moment 100% deserved the clip. Okay, this hits like a truck. And gives me frostbite that I can't avoid. And then this also does the same thing. I gotta use a Swift Cast for Cure after that. I don't think there's any way I avoid the dive bombs. Ooh, 2 crits is really good. for health pool safety. Yeah, I don't think there's any way I get enough HP to avoid the dive bombs here. Or I did go through enough HP to avoid the dive bombs here. I'd have to get really lucky with this damage hit. Yeah, just barely not. Probably did one too many, probably just did one too many, cures, that's the word. It's worth noting, if I get hit by a mechanic here, like this dive bomb, if I get hit by this dive bomb, I have like a very high chance of just dying flat out. School, mostly and some gaming, how are you? I'm doing good. Okay, done with that. Well, I think 220 is, sorry. 240 is out of the gate here, unfortunately. But, like I said, I definitely thought this run could go into 240, and I'm sure it absolutely could, but these next two dungeons are probably going to take me like 15 minutes a piece. So yeah, these next two dungeons are probably going to take me like 15 minutes a piece. So we're probably looking more at like a 250, which would still be 20 minutes faster provided it was like lower than a 259. It would still be faster than the world record by 20 minutes. So like I said, I was very confident I could beat the world record by 20 minutes in this run. The question was, how was I, which was good. That is good to hear. I am glad that friendos have good times. Okay. I continue kiting. Nailing things down. So the one thing that's annoying about our Arboretum is in the last pull, there's more of these enemies, like this guy, who has a damage reduction debuff called Muddy. So basically, Muddy just makes it... Right, these guys just spawn right away. Just makes life hell. So, there is a way to clear that debuff in the final section. However, you need to be basically be uninterrupted to do it, because you need to turn on a faucet on the wall. And unfortunately, with that whole thing with the faucet, if you get hit while you're turning on the faucet, it cancels it. So, oh no, I took a debuff. That's bad. I took a dot. That's really bad. Okay, we're fine. Taking a dot there is definitely still really bad, though. But basically, if we could get rid of that, we could kill the mobs quicker and subsequently, you know, get through the dungeons faster. But as life is like that. Dude, 1 HP. Why every time with 1 HP in these enemies, dude? So annoying. This guy is both a stack marker and a tank buster, which means I basically gotta keep myself healthy at all times. Otherwise, I will explode. 121k. Right on that, it's really good. That's a really good burst of damage. Yeah, so Vine Whip is the buster. I think I'm good, because he's not going to do the stack until after this, I believe. Yeah, I think he goes for Devour here. I'm just going to do this so I can keep moving. And then do this cast. I might be dead. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. So I get a free chunk of, I get a free section here where I don't need to worry about healing. He won't be damaging me because he's spewing out his bad breath in that direction, but it's only a brief reprieve. I do need to make sure I'm healthy every other time. Yeah, basically, try and keep yourself at like 70k bare minimum, 75k bare minimum when doing this solo. Hopefully he just goes for another Devour, not like a stack marker. Okay, cool. Going for Devour is good because it means I don't have to worry about casting anything to heal myself. And I can just deal damage. Cool. Oh boy. This has been a long one. But I believe. I believe in the 250. I believe in the 20-minute world record. I would like to avoid the roly-poly cast, thank you. But I would like your enemies to get into it as well. Dude, that's actually something about this dungeon that does make it, like... That basically makes me say that the burn is, like, the second worst. This second segment, if enemies are in the roly-poly cast, they get affected by it. Not just allies. The only person who isn't affected by it is the blooming Bilko, which is the enemy that casts it in the first place. So basically it's advantageous if you can manage it to keep those guys alive. Just doing this to heal myself. Bilko, try and get the enemies to stand in it so that they'll deal less damage to me by being changed into a different form. Which means I'm free to do more damage abilities instead of your cure for a bit. Basically, this second segment is not actually too bad comparatively. Especially if these guys keep getting turned into whatever the fuck these little guys are called here. I'm definitely doing a few too many Vercures though. Normally this is basically where I just say, yeah, things I gotta work out for next run, but the next time I do the speed run, it will be an Endwalker. Welcome back, Check. How's that pronounced? Like Corpicur or something? I've literally never bothered to figure out how to pronounce it. That's how you pronounce it? Fair enough. I mean, your English is not that bad, dude. Don't even worry about it. Your English is fine. I don't want to be just, like, over here, right? Yeah. Gotta make sure I'm at, like, a decent HP pool, though. Does have a tank buster in stone too, which will still, you know, tank bust me if I'm not dumb. Earth Shakers isn't that bad. Doesn't do like more than 30k. It doesn't even do that much. It's definitely just a mechanic that's like, hey, don't stack this, idiot. Nobody to stack with, it's fine. Whew. I do admit though, I am kind of a bit exhausted by this run. Like, I'm 2.5 hours in at this point, and I feel just, like, very exhausted by it. Nice, worked out. I do like that if you're still in the middle of the animation, it will put you at the point... It will teleport you to the end point of movement abilities like that, even still. As long as you're still in the animation. Didn't get scorched, though, but that's fine. Kiting. Whew. Yeah, this is basically why I say, like, it's hard for me to do runs that are, like, beyond an hour and a half. Beyond an hour and a half, it really starts getting into, like, territory of, man, my focus is starting to wane, I need a break. But if I don't get that break, then it's just, like, it's bad, man. It's hard to deal with. Like, it's definitely a lot easier to do a Realm Reborn, just because, like, I get a literal break in Castrum and whatnot, because I could just fucking not pay attention to cutscenes as they go. That whole deal. In this dungeon, in this run, there's, like, no breaks whatsoever. Heavensward is just pushing it at the point it's at, with an hour 41 world record. I don't think there's a universe where I could get this water conduit to go off, right? No way. No way. No way I dodged all 3 of those attacks and got it off. No way. You're kidding. That's actually so good because I can kill these guys faster now. Gamer. I got lucky, dude. I just got lucky. The game let me. Probably on pace for like a 14-minute here. Shouldn't take me more than 2 minutes to take this guy down. So if I'm pace over 14 and I get like a 15, I might still get a 240x, a 2-4 40x. Really depends. Although dealing with the mechanics in this guy is kind of like really hard solo. It's annoying as fuck. Especially when it gets to the fucking ad phase. The ad phase is where things just like... That's indeed a gamer mood. Getting lucky is gamer. Gotcha. Perfect. Glad I now have this knowledge to forever hold in my brain. That being lucky is in fact very gamer. I think I'm screwed. No way I moved this in time, right? Actually, fucking insane. I'm actually a gamer. No way I moved that in time. That's not right. I mean, if there's anything I learned from Isaac, luck being skill, fair enough. Binding of Isaac has taught you well. Alright, hopefully I can not see the ad phase. Never mind, who am I kidding? The ad phase fucking rears its ugly head every time, even if I don't want it to. Yeah, I just didn't want to have to use any abilities on it. That was unintentional and absolutely perfect. You see that mud slime? You see that motherfucker over there? Perfect position. Gamer luck. Nice, that's a crit. Okay, I think I'm fine with it casting Virulent Flood. I think I kill it before that comes back to bite me. Yeah, cool. Perfect. Okay, I gotta get this done in 15 minutes or less if I want the 149 or better. This is the last dungeon, the Gimlet Dark. God. Alright, last dungeon. We're done with the run when the final boss of this dungeon dies. So I called this one the hardest, and it's for a very specific reason. This is the final dungeon released in Stormblood, and this whole time through I've been saying X dungeon hits like a truck. Well, quite literally all the bosses in this can, like, hit me for 70,000. All the bosses in this can hit me for 70,000 damage. So, it's basically imperative at all times that I keep my health in bosses above 90k. If I don't keep my health above 90k in bosses, I'm basically asking to be just destroyed by a, I'm basically asking to be destroyed by a tank buster or a stack marker. Oh my god, I might die. Wait, I'm fucking great. We're falling brothers. Fuck. Okay, I didn't get a slide cast there. That sucks. For the record, if you don't know what a slide cast is, basically, moving is supposed to interrupt cast, but because this way is because of the netcode of this game, it's entirely possible to start moving before a cast is finished. The game will not register that you've moved. And it allows you to finish that cast despite moving. That's known as slide casting. I have to get myself here. I basically just have to abandon that Scorch. If I didn't abandon that Scorch, I was 100% dead. 100%. So that sucks, but, like, again, we basically need to keep our HP above, like, above 90k here. Because if we don't, we will die. He deals a lot of damage. So you'll basically see me consistently Vercure into cast, unless I am above 100k HP, at which point I will use a Verse Stone or a Verse Flare or a Jolt instead. But if he's doing this, then I don't have anything to worry about, because he will not deal any auto attack or super scary damage during this phase. And thankfully, he gave me the good pattern. And this is the big one. This stack hurts. Feels 75k. Boy, howdy, you really are a bitch, huh? Please crit and kill him. Oh god. I'm dead. Okay, well, I should have just casted an ability and killed him because he was at 0.2. That's my own fault. That basically, that 100% kills the 2-4, the 2 hour 40x minutes. Not what I wanted, but it's my own fault. I panicked. I saw that he was at 0.2, and I tried to heal myself when I should have just done a damage ability, which would have canceled the damage, basically. So it's my own fault. It's 100% my own fault. It just sucks. Because I have to run all the way back, basically. To be honest, though, 2 deaths throughout this entire thing, I was kind of expecting more than 2 deaths. Even still, though, we should 100% be able to beat the current existing world record by 20 minutes at the end of this. Okay, so I shouldn't have to worry about my health. Yeah. Nerd God. Please, if I don't have confidence, then everything goes wrong. Please. Okay, it's definitely gonna do the stack markers soon. I wanna, like, try and keep myself at a reasonable HP. Yeah, truly it is a real pickle, huh? I think I actually bursted him past one of the stack markers. But it kind of created a situation where I'm not 100% sure what's coming next now. I can definitely safely do a couple Vercures into casts off of that. Not a third one, though. This one's got to be a double. Okay. Round 2 of the whole ending with a melee combo. This time we don't die, though. Definitely guaranteed, because direct hit crit. Yep. That's what I was hoping would happen the first time, that I just get a direct hit crit. Unfortunately for Fluffy, life doesn't really work like that. Oh, cool. Drop that on my head, why don't you? Form of blood, born from blood of our fallen brothers. To keep hiding, minimize damage taken while maximizing damage that I can deal. When things use AoEs, try and kite them so they keep getting hit by AoEs as you kite around. Yeah, like I said, this is I wouldn't have died in that boss had I been on Warrior or Paladin. However, the average time it takes me to beat a dungeon on Warrior versus doing it on Red Mage, it takes approximately, on average, 2.5 minutes slower. So, if I don't die, it's like just a straight-up DPS loss to take a tank into these dungeons. And you know how it is. I like to maximize my speed. Oh, that ain't good. I'm gonna go for a Molinet. Should kill 2 of the 3 of them here, which lets me get the other ones down. Ooh, close, but I should still be fine. I am cutting it really close with this HP threshold, but I think I'll be fine, especially if I get a crit. If I get a crit, I'm fine. Blood, born from blood of our fallen brothers. I don't think this guy tank busts out of the gate, right? I don't think so. Right. He may not tank bust, but 20k HP is still not good enough for this dungeon. He will still auto you when that finishes. Right. Maybe I lived if I wasn't close to him. Maybe if he doesn't auto me. Ah, well. Everything kind of had to go wrong at the end, didn't it? I did say that this was the hardest dungeon to do. If you're not playing it safe in a lot of cases, you are risking way too much. And yeah, here I am not playing it safe and dying a whole fuck ton. Again, it's my own fault, right? Like, I could have just played it safe. I could have just, you know, healed myself before starting the fight. But I thought, because I knew how this boss worked, that he would, like, teleport away before I died, which would give me time to heal. The answer to that question was no. It's not how that happened. Not at all. The good news, however, though, is even with those 2 mistakes, we're still on pace to beat the world record by, like, over 20 minutes. Yeah, he does Nitro Spin, he goes underground, goes into the wall. Don't be in line with that, because it shoots a big fucking laser. The big laser hurts. Alright, that's the Buster. It should be fine to finish this off before I heal. I think he does Needle Gun like twice in a row, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he does Needle Gun twice in a row when you're solo. He doesn't do the other side of it, which is a bit interesting, honestly. Okay, so he is going to do another Buster before he goes away. Or is he not? Could have sworn he does another Buster. No, he does Freezing Missile first. Huh. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Stormblood had a lot of Final Fantasy VI references. I think the big reason for that, though, is how much Garlean, the nation of Garlean? The Garlean nation is involved. And the Garlean nation took its name and a lot of its, like, design elements from Garlean from Final Fantasy VI. So it makes sense, right? It makes sense that there's a Garlic Mauled. Garlemald, yeah. For some reason, I could not think of what the nation was actually called. It's called Garlemald. But yeah, because Garlemald is modeled after Final Fantasy VI in the first place, it makes sense that that they would be the ones that have a lot of Final Fantasy VI references in their designs. Like these little guys right here, these little walkers. That's Final Fantasy VI design, as you can get, basically. Help me out, Ian. I need people to deal damage with me so I can live. Yeah, so those 2 deaths alone probably cost me like 6 minutes bare minimum, probably upwards of 8 depending on how this goes. Because I had one run where I died on the final boss. Wow, I really overcapped my mana, huh? Whoopsie daisies. Didn't mean to do that. I really done screwed the pooch on that one, I do think, lad. Hopefully this just kills it. Yeah, I had one run in practice where I died in the file boss once, and it took like 18 minutes to finish the dungeon. So, yeah, it really could just be a thing where, like, I didn't lose as much time as I thought, but it also could be a thing where, like, you know, I'm pretty sure my fastest clear time of this was like a 14-minute time. So, yeah, I probably cost myself a lot of time. Because the later you die in a boss fight, the more time you end up losing. If you die early in a boss fight, sure, that's fine, but the later, the worse. Wait a minute. My math is all wrong. I'm not gonna beat it by 20 minutes. The existing world record is a fucking... The existing world record is a 309. Getting a 259 would be 10 minutes. I'm dumb. I said that I could get up to 20 minutes, but dying twice is obviously gonna fuck that over. Because dying is a lot of time loss. Just from having to respawn and then, like, run through the dungeon again. Oh, hey, I get Yugiris this time. I rarely ever got Yugiris. Like, holy moly. Go do your thing, dude. Okay, thank you. I rarely ever get Yugiris limit break here. That's interesting.
This day you die.
Okay, thanks, Yugiri. Let me go finish the run. Yeah, this was 100% doable to be 20 minutes faster, but dying twice obviously screwed me. Well, either way, fuck this boss in particular. So here's the thing. It's actually super risky for me to open with my melee combo here. Because that's a tank buster and a targeted attack at the same time. It's very possible that I could have gotten crit on both of those and died. Like, straight up, opening with my melee combo is super risky in this fight. Yo, Lydius, good to see you, dude. How you doing, man? I'm doing great. Okay, let's just do this to get her down. That's a buster, but I should be fine. Yeah, I got a parry, so that's really good. As long as she doesn't use Delta Trance again, I'm good here. Okay. Oh, you know what it is? Do I know what it is? Is it a Lydius raid? Did Linneas finish his stream and he's going for the raid? Is that what it is? Or is it Lynn just hanging out? Either way, I'm happy. Good to see you, Lynn. Alright. So good news. This boss has a really annoying element to it where it can be at 0.1 before it swaps over. You're actually not supposed to know what it is. Fuck! Shit, wait, let me go back and feign ignorance. Oh god. Oh my god, Lydia's raiding with a party of 16. Holy shit, I definitely didn't see this coming. Thank you so much for the raid, Linneas. How's your stream, dude? Hello everyone from Linneas' stream. My name is Lord Fluffy. I am a speedrunner streamer. Primary focus, as of late, has been on a variety of different speedruns. Look, you've known me for a while. There's a few streamers I can get it, but you're definitely not one of them. That's true. You hit it with me once where I genuinely didn't see it coming, and from there it was just like, alright, I got the read on you, bud. Zobi Plays, welcome into the stream. It's JP Dude, welcome into the stream. Sippo Creep, I'm assuming that's your name. Welcome into the stream as well, my guy. Hello everyone, once again, my name is Lord Fluffy. I'm a speedrunner-focused streamer. Current focus has been on a variety of different projects. Right now, I'm at the very end of Final Fantasy XIV All Dungeons Stormblood. This is the very last thing I have to do is kill this boss and the run is done. But I've had a great time with this. What's up? Everything is going good. I hope everyone who hopped in is good as well. The stream was great, game soft lock, and I was like, oh damn, I've only been streaming for like 3 hours. Oh, 6:49? Yeah, it's our time. Yeah, yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. That'll indeed do it, my guy. Alright, time is coming up when this final enemy dies, which hopefully should be on this cast. Time. Alright, perfect. So, fun fact. This is a world record by 12 minutes. That is, damn, that could have gone way better. That could have gone way fucking better, let me tell you something. Oh, I died twice on the final fucking dungeon, man. That feels so bad. Oh, shit. That's still a 12-minute world record, though. You know, I was gonna type world record no matter what. That's true. You were going to. Damn, smexy, even sexy, hot. Oh, jeez.